another edition of Startup Stars here at the Big Scope. Now, every day we wake up, you read the newspapers or you go on Twitter, Facebook, so many other social media platforms. Every day you hear something about something got hacked, my password got leaked, some bank has some security issue, some country hacked another country, which I still think sound very funny. But the point is, we are in an age where cybersecurity has come to the mainstream, which is very important. To talk more on that, I've got with me Rahul Shashi. I pronounce his name correctly.
Yeah.
Rahul Shashi, who is the founder of CloudSafe, a Bangalore-based cybersecurity startup. Rahul, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot.
So, there's so many things I want to ask. I mean, we can literally go hours discussing about all of things. But with your experience and what you have seen, because you took time to develop the current platform that you have, I really want to understand if you can briefly help me, break this down. What is wrong in the way currently governments and companies, say enterprises or startups in India, look at cybersecurity? Where have we gone wrong with security? Because it's not possible that all of a sudden in the last 3-4 years, every day we see $1 billion hack, East and all of that. What has gone wrong with security?
So the question is that we didn't go wrong all of a sudden. We were doing it wrong from the very beginning. And the hacks which you're hearing about right now are the hacks which happened almost 2 to 3 years back. All right, it's just that the news is coming out right now.
Nice.
The hackers would have stolen this data primarily maybe in 2014 or 15. For example, I would give you an example. Which one? The LinkedIn case, Twitter case.
The LinkedIn case.
All those things happened many years before. It's just that it came out right now in the news. So we've been doing a lot of things wrong from the very beginning, and a lot of things right as well. And then there is no one way in cybersecurity that this is the right way. It's a constantly changing environment.
Correct.
It's a cat and mouse game between hackers and security guys.
Correct.
One guy makes money by hacking things. The other guy makes money by defending it. So it's a chess game. So both of them are evolving every year or every month.
So you would say this has been a great period in the last 2 years for cybersecurity startups, because since more hacks have come into the fore and since suddenly the media has reported,
exactly.
it's good business for you guys.
Exactly. So I'm
sounding like a cynic, but is that true?
So I've been in the security space ever since 2006. In 2006 to 2010, no much media reported, at least in India, much media reported about it. But in the last 2-3 years, you would see everyone reporting. There is a journalist who is writing very specifically about cybersecurity.
In fact, back in those days, we used to call it infosecurity. I remember.
Yeah, right. So that it has evolved. People has got the awareness, and these journalists are helping to spread the awareness to more people. So that's what has changed in the last couple of years.
It's interesting.
But hacks have been there from very long. The defense system has always been there. It has been evolving.
So tell me something. I'm really curious. So say if suddenly the defense systems, the defense against these attacks, better day by day, and they become so good by the end of the year, the number of hacks compared to last year drastically go down. I'm just saying hypothetically. Will that mean bad business for the cybersecurity industry?
Well, so let me be very honest over here. There is no CEO who wakes up thinking, of a cybersecurity company, wakes up thinking, let there be less hacks today. All right, let's be very clear about that.
Okay.
But they'll always be thinking or praying that there is no hacks on their clients. That's one. And then there are cybersecurity researchers, who always think of finding new ways of doing something amazing. And then there are actual hackers who wants to make more money every day, by innovating in their way of exploiting research.
So how would I? Sorry to button, but how would I put you in which category should I put you? You've got loads of experience. I think you were initially also part of a company which got acquired by FireEye.
Correct.
So you've got a lot of experience in security, networking systems, and all of this. Today, you are a CEO of this really coming of age firm in security, CloudSec. So where do I term you? Are you a black hat who became a white hat? Where do I put Rahul? Which category should I put Rahul in?
No, I've been in the security research space from the beginning, but I have seen all the sites. The best way to learn is to be involved in a lot of things. So I've been learning from different people, different categories.
I like the way he diplomatically puts it. That is a lot of people. So that's it. I remember we were having this conversation before this interview. He was explaining to me how his organization works, how his platform works. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You have created a platform where I can just go Google out the name of the company, and his platform tells us what is wrong with that company. Has this company been hacked? What are the issues in terms of the IT infrastructure? Is it that simple that you've made it to be?
Yeah, so what we did in the last 2 years is we started collecting a ton of data from internet sources which had records of people getting hacked, vendors leaking information, or your employees accidentally leaking something. So we started collecting all this, millions of data records, passing it to a machine learning system, which started classifying how much of a threat it is, whom this threat belongs to, and how this threat originated.
Okay.
So we at this point of time have 7 terabytes of data of different security incidents that has happened.
This is across the world,
Yeah,
or
across the world.
Across the world. Okay.
So if you go to our platform and search a particular company's name, we would know what all data which belong to them is still leaked on the internet that they are not aware about.
So then how do you reach out to them at this point?
We don't reach out to them.
Why wouldn't you? That's like a prospective customer for you.
So at this point of time, that's what we are not trying to reach to every company at this point of time. Our product strategy is very simple. We'll make sure every big company in the world or in the country uses our platform, and then we'll gradually go to the second tier.
So basically what you're saying is right now you've taken 2 years to develop this platform.
Yeah.
Real hard work has gone into a lot of people sitting together and making this
Correct.
platform. So now you're saying your strategy right now, it's a product. It's not a services based one.
No.
It's just a full throttled AI security product. So you're only going to reach out to, you're saying, the Fortune 500 or the real billion-dollar organizations. Go and pitch this to them. I mean, why don't you want to take a step back and reach out to the SMBs who are like they're historically vulnerable to such issues.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. One of the things which we report or work with is we work with the banks and help them protect their clients' information. What happens is every day individuals who does online shopping and different things gets their credit card or debit card or their Paytm wallets, things like that hacked. We find this hacked information and report it back to the banks so that they can immediately block these accounts so that their clients would not lose much money.
Okay.
So this is a category, the fintech category of banks. So now we are trying to cover the entire banks.
Okay.
We work with Gojek and Grab Taxi, which is the competitors.
They're all unicorns. I mean, you look at
all of them are unicorns, right? And so the use case over there is totally different. So we are trying to solve use case by use case and capture those specific markets.
Right. Go on. So, over there, I'm going to stop you for a while. I mean, if you talked about banks, now if you look at the BFSI sector in India, I mean, I want to put even the fintech folks, all of them. I mean, a lot of these guys are using tech nowadays. They're app based just for banks and things like that. Now, look at the last 5 years. If you just step back a little, there are mandates under the current in the current government which says that if there's some hack happens, they have to report it back to a particular agency. I've never seen that thing happen out that regularly.
So the mandate is not in India, right? The mandate is in the US and in the European countries. They have started doing that.
Which particularly in North America.
So in the last 2 years.
So how do you work in this kind of a situation? Say you reach out to say a private sector bank, a really large private sector bank in India, and you reach out to them. You tell them, boss, this is what I've figured out. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. What if the CIO on the other side, he doesn't want to disclose it? I don't want to. Fine. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
So what do you do beyond that? When you show them there is an issue, there is a vulnerability. What is the next step? Do you go and show them this is the vulnerability? Please use our product. We'll help you. So how do you work in such a situation?
We are, as of now, we don't follow that approach.
Okay.
But whenever we see something very critical, right? Very critical that we think this has to be reported, we do send an email once in a while. But we don't do that on a regular basis because we are a product company. All of us are engineers. We don't have a service team who can send these mails and things like that. But certain issues we do. And we don't even expect a thank you email or anything. As long as they are doing their part, we are good with it. Some cases they always get back to us, want to see the platform which has found these things. So we do engage with them, but then that's a very rare thing. Most of our customers come from references. Existing banks who are using it will tell to other banks. One company who is on our platform, the competitors will obviously know that we are
correct,
using the tech to solve a particular problem, that they reach out to us. So as of now, we don't have any like a dedicated marketing team or anything.
Fair.
All these things came
I
from
like that.
references of other clients.
So what's the worst? If you can just before going on, can you give me an example? What's the worst or the most critical vulnerability you've seen in the last 1 year, at least in the fintech sector in India? Without naming any.
In our case, right, it's all data leaks, right? I'll tell you one incident which we saw 2 weeks back.
Oh right. This
A large company of India, one of their HR sipped all the payslips of every employees, uploaded to a file sharing site with the title Payslips Employee 2017. So every payslip of the company was available on the internet for anyone to download. And it was there for almost 3 months until we saw it, because our technology is constantly bringing in every data, analyzing it. So we keep tags. So once in a while we go to the platform and do a fun search, and then we found this particular thing, and we just solve it. Similarly, critical codes, source codes, proprietary things are always again accidentally or knowingly being leaked.
I remember once you told me about a long back, I think a year back when I met him for the first time. You remember you figured out something through a line of code on GitHub.
Yeah.
Took you back to this 100-year-old big IT giant where you realize there's some big hack happened. I mean, not hack, but leaks
all those are data leaks, which we say primarily, things which would have accidentally happened, knowingly or unknowingly, but it's there somewhere. They are not aware about. There are more similar examples. There was this vendor which worked with large companies. I'm not going to name the sector.
Absolutely, no problem.
It was a call center company which worked with large companies. The call center employee was not given leave for a particular day. What the employee decided was to upload every client's data to to a file sharing site, and made that link public on Facebook.
Okay.
So
personal vendetta inside.
So those things happens a lot.
Okay.
The thing is that many of the times the actual companies who are affected would never come to know about it because it was done by a vendor. See, these days, everything is interrelated.
Correct.
You are a bank. You don't handle everything which happens inside the bank. You will have various vendors who's taking care of your servers, who's taking care of your,
Correct. I mean, that's the multi-party agreement most of these guys have been
exactly.
working for,
And if one of them screws up, how will you even know?
Wow.
And they have ton of data outside about you. How will you even know?
Okay, there are two questions. So your platform basically say, if I am an auto manufacturing company, I have an auto manufacturing company. Okay, I have so many sales, a lot of these tech which is there on the shop floor, a lot of data collection, a lot of data points which is getting collected, and I use your platform. So your platform helps me understand these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 issues in terms of I'm using somebody's solution on the shop floor. I'm using some other solution back with the engineer sitting on another floor.
Yeah.
So your platform not only tells me there's some threats coming from outside, your platform also tells me what are the issues with my current IT infrastructure in terms of security. Is that correct?
That's a portion of what we do.
Okay, so what's the other part? If you just
The main portion is that what has happened about you from an outsider's perspective.
And what's happening also. Does it also give you a regular report?
Exactly. So there are people who find, who figures out ways to scam companies.
Yes,
like
there are a lot of
a way to hack Paytm wallet, or a way to hack a payment gateway. There are people discussing about all these things in different places.
Wow.
We identify them, machine learning classifies it and sends it to it. So somewhere there on the internet, a guy is saying that this is a method to hack Flipkart wallet.
Yeah, there are so many of them. I mean, we go on.
Yeah, and how do that?
So you go to dark web. There are so many of these, like as a service.
Absolutely. So the dark web itself, there are plenty of these discussions happening. We collect, analyze them, report it back to the client so that they have a edge. They can make preventive measure.
Preventive discussion. Great. So it's like a product. I take it. It's a one-time thing, right? So I mean, then if you're just selling to only certain companies, as you're just selling a product, say I create a product and I just sell to top 50 Fortune 500 companies or top 100 Fortune 500 companies, then what's the next logical step for an organization like yours? Where do you go next with it? I know you're sitting on a lot of credible data from the world, which makes you can do a lot of things with that. I mean, so what do you do next then? You've sold it, that's it. So what's your next step with the same customer? Say you've sold it to me, then what's your next step with the same customer?
So it's a recurring thing, right? I mean, so your question was, what will they do?
Yeah,
with
exactly.
what
So you've
you're
sold the product to me. I've taken CloudSec with me, which is helping me realize this is what has happened. These are the kind of attacks which has happened in my organization. Say the same auto example, and these are the kind of attacks which happened yesterday. So I know this is the next step I can take, to leak. I mean, to possibly fix that leak overhaul. But what is my relation with the same company after that?
So that's what I mean. So there's no fix for human stupidity, right?
Okay.
So one of the primary things which we are solving.
This is the premise of cybersecurity, basically. Humans are stupid, basically.
Yeah, so one of the primary things which our solution works is of mistakes people made. Accidentally done, right?
The leaks
this is
are
not going to stop.
Correct.
Ever. Unless we have someone come up with a Chaudish Brahmi sort of solution, but I don't think.
So tell me another thing. I mean, I'll just take a couple of steps back. Go to the base of what your product is, what your platform is. Now, for the last 2 years, you researched, your team, you researched a lot. You saw the kind of leaks. I mean, whether it's on the dark web or on the rest of the internet, you saw different kind of vulnerabilities, different kind of vulnerability tools which were out there. It was a whole lot of study that we're doing before you came out with this. Now, tell me, in the current scenario, I mean, whether good or bad, like for example, you look at GDPR, Europe, finally GDPR has come into play. Now, I don't know whether North America will have its own kind of policy, but India, they had a Justice Sri Krishna Committee report on privacy a year back, last December, if I'm not wrong. So slowly, around the world, governments are realizing the importance of privacy. Now, whether those rules are particularly good for the entire industry, I'm not going to get into that. But doesn't that impact an upcoming organization like you, who wants to go for the big billion-dollar organizations and who want to sell their products? How do you justify the fact that your product today is based on years of research and this is open data available, data from some leaks from there? So doesn't these privacy rules, don't you think it will affect you?
Your organization? So
I just want to understand this concept.
Yeah, so I mean, there are so all these privacy rules which are coming up. But I'm I'm not a strong defender of privacy. My understanding about privacy is that if you have given consent in some way to someone to take your data, it's you have given the consent. Without your consent, if someone is getting something, reaching into your wallet and taking your data, reaching into your computer, taking your data out, that's a different thing. That's one. I just want to make that clear.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and now with all these laws which are coming, right? In our case, we store them. See, think of it as a giant Google for cybersecurity incidents. Google will show you apples. If you want to search apples, we will show you where we can get apples and what is the size and color of apples. In our platform, we does a similar thing. We index everything which Google doesn't index.
Exactly. You
index. But we not only index data, what we categorize and then make meaningful reports out of those data. For example, we see a discussion on XYZ. We categorize that, saying that these people are discussing about this vulnerability. This vulnerability is impactful for you because in following infrastructure of yours, you are using these many softwares.
So most of your data are already available. Most of these data,
we process it and make much more meaning out of it is what we primarily do. So again,
it's like you scrape at the same concept. That's why we call
Google
it
does. We
scrape through dark web.
We very specifically did for cybersecurity data and process and keep it in a much more meaningful way. Very simple. That's what we do.
Also, a couple of issues that I have with this. I mean, if you go out today, let's look at social media, Twitter, Facebook. So many white papers, so many of these sites. Every other organization, now don't take me wrong, I mean every other organization today, and you folks know me, I've talked about it a lot in the last 3 months, everybody uses the term AI. I'm an AI based startup, I'm AI. You ask them what are they doing, they'll probably be building a chatbot. No, I'm being honest, I mean, I'm not mincing my words, but help me understand, Chief, today. I mean, how much of AI is this and what exactly is AI doing in your platform? I really want to understand because there are a lot of other subset terms. We won't go into theories, but how much of AI is this? And secondly, is the artificial intelligence platform right now in 2018, do you think, is it intelligent enough? I know there is neural language, natural language processing, neural networks and all of that. Great, these are great steps towards a certain type of computing, but what is AI in your platform? What does AI do? Is it intelligent?
Let me. So there's there's a lot of people use AI and machine learning
yes, yeah.
interchangeably everywhere.
Oh yes, yes.
Even if the product doesn't have to do anything with AI, you are correct. You know, people kind of use it because they think that's a selling point, which is not. You know, if you and two, it's a catchy thing. You know, it might catch investors in attention, etc., etc. So people use that a lot. The fundamental thing is AI and machine learning are not two words which can be used interchangeably. Machine learning in is more of a field where it's not. Okay, let me explain what AI is. AI, you can only call something AI if it's self-learning, learning on that data, improving over and over again.
Correct.
So reinforcement learning is one category which falls under AI. Reinforcement learning is something you make an error, you try a particular path, make an error, learn from that error, go back, try it again.
Correct. Absolutely.
Till you become successful. So everything which comes under reinforcement learning is an AI. And then there is machine learning. There is no unless, so in the machine learning what happens is you have to manually train something that, okay, this is X, and all these are X, Y, Z. When something similar comes, start predicting. You know, this is X or this is Y. You know, so those are the predictions you can achieve out of machine learning. It's more like, you know, you're teaching a baby how to pick the right apples. You teach them, put 10 apples and say these are bad and this is good. There's nothing, you are evolving every day. Unless you teach, as a human, you have to teach
it. Correct.
Right, so these are two different things.
Yeah, that's very important. Correct.
So, and a lot of people don't get this particular portion. Now, in our case, we have two different things. Machine learning is what we use for categorizing these data into which apple, whether it's a grape, and what sort of grape or what sort of threat it is, how this threat is going to affect, etc., etc. That's a pure machine learning thing. We have a reinforcement-based model for our data collection system, which we've already made. We have blogged about this. That's a technology where we are trying to, you know, interact for collection of data, right, crawling, etc. We're automatically learning from, you know, how a website looks like, and instead of how to log into it, etc., etc., which is an AI field, which is a subset. Our primary focus is on the machine learning space. Both of these things, to put it into a production, will take, or to give very good amount of results, will take a good amount of time. So if a company comes up in a year and say, we have built an AI-based product, I wouldn't believe in that. You know, because it's an extremely difficult field to give results. But the future is on this, because every day it's improving. You know, either the humans are improving in the machine learning phase, or in the reinforcement learning, the machine itself is learning and evolving.
Correct.
Down the line,
which is what your product is also doing. Right?
Exactly.
It's learning. You're throwing in data day after day. It's learning. Okay, you know, this was the type of vulnerability. See, this is the type of ransomware which came last month.
Correct.
Now they have changed some line of code, and this is a new way of
conversations. Yeah, and primarily in conversation, this is how it works. Yes. So down the line, right, 2, 3, 4 down the line, yes, we would be faster and a much more scalable way of performing these things. And the people who doesn't actually use, rather just only use the words AI and machine learning, would eventually die in the process, one day or the other.
So going forward, I mean, yours wholeheartedly enterprise-based organization. Because those are people you're selling your product to. But at the end of the day, you're also a security researcher. Before you started this organization, but you're still researching, if I can put it that way.
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't call it that anymore. I am heading the team, the research team. But the team does primarily the work.
Okay, fair enough.
You know,
so having said that, you know, if you look at most of the leaks which happen now, I just want to understand one very important thing. You know, now there are the problem also with the way. For example, you know, before asking the question, let's tell the viewer something. Like you look at, you know, the terms and conditions before you download any app on your phone or a game or anything that you install, even Windows. There are terms and conditions. I bet you out of 100. Only 1 or 2 would read that. Most people don't know. They wouldn't. And why should they care about reading some white paper language in that? But look at what happened recently. The entire Cambridge Analytica and Facebook controversy. Facebook actually, for the first time, I might be wrong, but the first time in the given history, the first time some online, internet-based organization, they've changed their privacy policy, changed the language of the privacy policy that even my mother could understand. I'm not making it up. But having said that, 99 other companies are still doing the same thing. And there are researchers and there are privacy activists, there
Yeah.
are cybersecurity organizations across the world
Yeah.
who say, no, this has been hacked, so we have to do this. It's like you create an area of fear. You get it? Like it's like what's happening now in AI is
Yeah.
nothing to take off. It's great, research is happening, but my only problem is when you look at these industry bodies and sometimes even the ministers, everybody wants to harp on these marketing words. I'm doing AI, machine learning,
Yeah.
security. Sometimes what happens, even if the demand is not there, suddenly you will have so many students coming up from certain colleges.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trained in AI, I'm trained in machine learning, for example.
Yeah.
And then there is no demand and suddenly the supply increases, which happened 3 or 4 years back. This is
Yeah.
happening right now.
Yeah.
How do you take the talk of cybersecurity to an average man? Would he care about security? I've talked to so many of them. They wouldn't bother. You also know that.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
absolutely.
Would they care about privacy? No.
Yeah.
Did the entire incident on Facebook stop people from using
No,
Facebook?
no,
They were doing
absolutely.
the same thing next morning. They're uploading pictures. So, how do you change this? And how do you change the mentality? How do you reach out? What about cyber hygiene? Most of the issues happen, most of the leaks happen because people are not aware.
Yeah.
I know so many, I shouldn't mention that. I know of a CIO of a media company in India who stores all his username and passwords, including some of the critical passwords of the company, on an Excel sheet on the desktop.
Okay.
Can you believe it? And I saw it. I didn't have the. He was there, but I just the folder says password. So this dude was doing something. I clicked on it, and all the passwords popped up. How do you change that? He's a CIO of a company doing that. How do you take this talk of security and privacy to a normal person who's working on a day-to-day job? Leaks happen from there.
Well, how do we change? Which that's what it's going to take time. We reached here over time.
Yeah, we did.
The next stage, what is going to happen is that all of a sudden, with the digitalization has forced or made people to start following the digital path. Start using Paytm, different sort of wallets, etc., etc. So they are already in the digital sector right now. Most of the Indians are. Now, what is going to happen is a good number of them are going to lose money because of some tech error or some stupidity they made. When it comes to money, right, people always learn. Or at least with a country like ours, right, you lose 100 rupees, you always learn. You brought a fake USB from the railway station. You're not going to buy again another USB from the railway station.
Correct.
So people are going to learn out of, or a subset of people are going to learn
from
out
their
of
own
these
mistakes.
and then they would spread obviously the word. So just the cybersecurity folks or the media, would not be the only people, spreading the word. I'm saying, a good number of people are going to get affected, and then they are going to start spreading the word.
Fair
That's
call.
going to happen.
That's a fair argument because I remember once talking to a really big. It's a security company who's been there in the business for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So I would want to take names, but anyway. So this gentleman who's the VP of the company, he sits out of the valley, comes here all suited, booted, gives gyan on cybersecurity, and then all I do is. I don't have anything against with people doing certain degrees and then coming on to do security, but you look at his LinkedIn profile. I was just out of curiosity before interviewing that person, I was just going through his LinkedIn profile, and this person has no networking experience, nothing to do with cybersecurity. He was a person who had a degree in music or something, then did an MBA and then he becomes the VP of a cybersecurity company. His job is to come and talk security and do sales. So I don't know. Don't we have the right kind of people at the right positions today? Do we have the right talent right now? I really want to ask.
Yeah. So the thing is, right, there are certain areas in technology where a guy from a different field can do a particular job.
Okay.
For example, the same degree you spoke about, he might be fair enough to manage, be a network head of networks.
With a music degree.
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay.
All right. Maybe. Or that he has enough understanding about the tech space. He can do it.
Okay, fair enough.
But the thing with cybersecurity.
What about talent? The second thing. What talent then? Do you have? What about your own organization? Do you find it difficult to find particular talent who would do this part of security or that part of security, like good enough talent?
We find a lot of shortage in machine learning.
Fair.
Yeah, and it was extremely difficult. Either these guys who know things are with large tech companies, so bringing them to a startup was a difficult thing, or the people who are coming out of college didn't had enough knowledge.
So to train them.
So no, one of the things we did is the people who have joined the big companies, right? Certain people, certain amount of people, they were very interested in college in cybersecurity, or especially in machine learning, and then they joined these big companies with a huge hope of doing something bigger. But in the big companies, what happens is you'll be given a fraction of the fraction of the fraction of the big work, and these people who are very ambitious and and very active, they would never be comfortable, happy with that position. So what we did is we found those set of people who've been working for companies. We joined them. It's been a year, and they are finding it extremely, bad there, and they're just hanging on. We reached out to those folks and gave them an opportunity, and they all came joined us.
Nice.
So that's what we did.
Nice, lovely. So a couple of last things, you are the founder of a security company. How do you take care of cybersecurity yourself on a personal level?
Oh, so I mean, there are a bunch of things I do. All right,
I really want to talk to the viewers. Like, what do you do about
so
security?
one thing which I try to start with is two-factor. I have
Two-factor authentication.
Two-factor is something I would recommend to everyone. If you care about your emails and things like that, start with emails. You have to take care of two-factor, because if your emails are protected, certain hacks can be prevented. Then is the SMS thing. You have to protect your SMS because OTPs comes on your SMS. To protect that, stop installing all those unwanted apps.
Oh, exactly.
There was this delivery app who was even asking me to, give my entire gallery information to them. Why not give an SSH access to my computer? You can ask for that. I mean, so if the permission is not required, you better not install that app itself.
Fair enough. It is a very critical point he mentions. I mean, you look at India, there are so many millions of users who are using Android phones without realizing what they download. I'm not saying particularly the platform is wrong. iOS issues happen on iOS. Also, I'm just irrespective of platform, please understand and read what permission an app wants. I mean, I've seen so many gaming apps, like you install a game, it wants access to your microphone, your gallery, to your messaging, and sometimes even root. I mean, I wouldn't name the company, but there was a famous fintech company in India which wanted root access to a phone. They solved it after the issue was raised. A couple of last things, all said and done, I know you're the CEO of a cybersecurity firm, you're going out to Fortune 500 companies, but what about your own personal security? How does Rahul Shashi cyber secure himself? What are the measures do you take from everything you day-to-day life?
I'm always afraid of someone going to hack me someday. That's the worry. Every cybersecurity guy out there is worried that one day he's going to get hacked and going to be embarrassed. A couple of things which I do to protect my things is I have enabled two-factor on my emails. So emails are one way of getting access to a lot of things. So you protect two-factor so that is stopped. Second thing is I don't use apps. I only use apps which is extremely important for me. I don't use, or I don't even try out random apps just like that. If I want to try out, I use a virtualizer or environment to try it out and then delete it. So because these apps which you install, they can read your SMS. SMS are where your OTP comes. Even if your emails are protected, the OTP comes to your SMS. And then someone can read your SMS, then it's all gone again. So I'm very careful in that particular space.
So another thing, I'll be a cynic. Call me a cynic. I don't know if I ask you this, but I remember there was this gentleman from the government of India who I remember last 3 months ago or something. I don't know which media house he told this to. He's like, I do not use net banking. Is it like? Is it right or wrong? Am I going overboard? So, do you use net banking? How safe is still net banking? I'm not going to take names, but how safe is net banking?
I use net banking.
When I say net banking, on the phone as well as on my desktop.
So I use net banking. Sometimes which I don't use my credit card to do certain transactions on certain websites.
Okay.
Because what happens with net banking is, you enter your credentials on the final banking website. So the banks would have enough security in place.
Correct.
In the debit card scenario, you're entering the debit cards or credit card on the shopping site. Not every shopping site would be secure enough.
Correct.
Right. So there are possibilities of leakages happening from those shopping sites.
Okay.
So if I have the option of net banking, I will obviously choose net banking instead of using credit or debit card.
Correct.
So I'll only use my credit or debit card on sites which I trust.
Sites which you trust.
Some amount of trust. The big ones.
Otherwise, it's a scary thing. What people don't realize, they use, debit cards, credit cards randomly. I know so many people who don't even check whether that's a secure site or secure payment gateway. They just go away. And even, What, last night, and there was a friend of mine who suddenly called me up and like, hey, listen, suddenly he said he showed me a message he got which says somebody tried changing the PIN or the password for his particular bank account somewhere from China. I'm like, how did that get? So when we traced back a little with a friend of mine in the government of India, and we realized that it was through a particular shopping site. It's not originated in India, from somewhere else. So there are silly things. A lot of people, when I say a lot of people do that. They don't realize it. Last thing on the show, you sit on so much of data about which data will tell. I mean, probably can bring down billion-dollar companies if it wants one day. But on a lighter note, have you been threatened ever?
So far, no.
Okay.
But many of times what I've seen is when certain people see,
like when you show them
kind of when we show them that okay, this belonged to you and it was here, they always get shocked. I mean, and the initial reaction is that how can you have it? And we'll explain that we never came to your computer. I took the data. It was on the internet and this particular place lying there for anyone. We just index that particular thing. So suddenly, in that 5 or 15 minutes, it will come as a threat. But there was no. After that 15 minutes, they understand that it's just a normal thing. Lovely. And so far, no.
So also really happy that he's never been threatened before. I mean, it's a USP for being in a startup world in India. But that was Rahul from CloudSet, telling us about what's wrong with the security atmosphere today, what more can be done. And he's confident that people will continue to make mistakes and we will need better and better solutions in the cybersecurity world. This is Aritra signing out for the Big Scope.
Thank you.